Hi, welcome to another video. My name is Julie and I will be your guide today. And for today's class, I recommend getting a mat, or you can use a blanket or a towel. And then I also like to sit up on a little bolster, or a rolled up towel, a blanket, or a pillow would be just fine. But once you get all comfortable and get set up, we'll get started. And to start class today, we're gonna be sitting in a nice upright position. You can always feel free to start on your back if that's more comfortable to you, but today we're gonna get started maybe in a cross-legged position, sitting right on your sit bones. I like to sit up for on the bolster for this little portion. Otherwise, a pillow is fine, or maybe even sitting up on your knees. Any way that we can have the spine nice and aligned. The nice thing about the bolster or the pillow is just so it lifts our hips up just a little bit higher. So now my spine is straight because I'm lifted. If I was sitting down, it's just a little bit more easy for my spine to get that curvature. And that can sometimes become uncomfortable after a few moments. So once you get any little wiggles out, move your feet and find a good position that you can hold for just a few minutes. We'll start to drop in, maybe even letting the eyes drift closed. Softening the shoulders, softening the face, letting the hands rest on the thighs or the knees. Or if you'd like, you can open up the palms. Sometimes that's just more of an energetic way of receiving versus lowering the palms to the legs is grounding. Just giving that little weight onto the legs. And then before we get started, I'd like you to just check in with your mind, checking in with how you're feeling, or anything that's coming up, something that maybe is ruminating in your thoughts, whether that's something on your to-do list or something that has happened thus far today, or maybe something that you're anxious about that is yet to come. Whatever that is, just allow this little space to acknowledge, tapping into that awareness, just giving yourself this time to actually fully flesh out what you're feeling, what's going on inside your head. Once you've kind of identified everything that's happening, maybe you can find a little release, allowing all that is to come or that has passed to drift away, and then come here into this present moment, into your space, by noticing where you're grounded, what parts of the body are pressing into your mat below you, where on the legs and the feet, and just visualize all of those spots that you're physically touching and rooting into the space below you. And once you've gotten that, we'll start to come into the breath. Start to notice how your breath is coming naturally. And maybe you can invite in some deeper inhalation through the nose, and a long exhale, either out the mouth or through the nose, whatever feels better. Maybe even sighing if you're going out the mouth. Again, inhale through the nose, And exhale to release. Again, inhale. And exhale. We're going to keep this going a little bit longer. So start that inhale for 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 2, 3, 4. Again, keep counting in your head. Inhale, fill the belly up, maybe even bringing a hand to the belly. And then exhale, really actively pulling the belly in. 2 more rounds here. Inhale to fill up. And exhale to release, squeezing out every last drop. Last round. Inhale fully, maybe even holding at the top. Hold the breath. Good. Exhale, release. Beautiful. Now come back to that organic breath. Keep the eyes closed if that feels okay. Soften through the face, maybe even tuck the chin slightly to elongate in the back of the neck. Just check in here. Notice if anything's changed. Maybe you're just now dropping into your practice, or maybe you're wanting to get moving a little bit. Maybe you're feeling a little antsy. All is great. Just becoming aware with whatever's showing up. Good. Now let's start to open the eyes and lift up the hands up and overhead. Take a full body stretch here, stretching one side and the other. Rolling out the wrists. And then let's go ahead and drop the right hand over towards the mat. Left hand is still elongated. You could even maybe walk this right hand out a little bit further if that feels okay. Feeling that nice openness in that left side body. Good. Inhale, let's come back through center, really reaching up, and then over to the left side. Big breath here. Starting to wake up in the body. Good. Inhale through center. And let's do one more on both sides. Coming all the way back over. This time maybe dropping onto the elbow if that feels okay. And maybe the gaze travels up, looking into that left palm. And just try to keep both sit bones really nice and rooted here. If they don't want to stay rooted, then just come up a little higher, and that's okay. Beautiful. Inhale to reach up. And then last one over to the left. Good. Inhale, reaching up again, and then we're going to take a gentle twist over to the right side. So opening up in our wingspan, and then left hand grabs onto that right knee. Right hand comes right behind the spine. No need to crank or pull any this early in the practice, just allowing a nice gentle twist. Imagine all the vertebrae of the spine as it nice and twist through every vertebrae. Even the neck is an elongation of the spine. So turning the chin towards that right shoulder. Big belly breath. Good. And then exhale. And inhale to unwind. Reach up. And exhale to twist. Over to the other side this time. Good. Inhale, let's reach up. And then we're going to go ahead and get off of our pillow or bolster or anything if you had it. And we're going to come to sit back. Sitting back on the glutes here. Bend in the knees. And my hands are just shining, fingertips shining towards the hips here. Open up the chest. Breathe here. Really notice this nice openness in the chest and the heart space. And then let's take a couple windshield wipers. Drop both knees over to the right side. Inhale through center, and then over to the opposite side. Beautiful. Now keep that going. Feel free to linger in a spot or add a little extra speed. And just notice where you're feeling nice stretches here. Keeping up with that breath. Beautiful. Now let's go ahead and roll all the way down onto the spine. Pull the knees into the chest when you get here. And we're going to rock a little side to side, massaging the low back, that lumbar spine. Good. And now let's go ahead and get a nice bend in the knees here. I'm coming into a little reverse tabletop. And then pressing those hands up and away like you're walking on the ceiling here. Start to breathe deeply here and just notice if the core is engaged. Maybe the knees need to come in a little further just so we can press that low back into the ground. Good. And now we're going to go into our little ab workout here. So stretching out with that right leg, left arm reaches out. Good. Pull into the center. Inhale to find length, opposite side. Exhale as you contract. Inhale for that right leg, left arm. We'll be here for a few rounds. So using your exhale to pull in, contracting. Inhale as you reach out long. Sync up with the breath here. We won't be here for too long. Nice controlled movements. Good. Last one. Even it out. And then release. Pull the knees into the chest. Good job. Give yourself a little hug. Good. Now rolling up and down the spine. Let's give ourselves a little massage here. We're going to come through all the way into our tabletops. But I advise you to take a few rolls here. And then once you're ready, coming all the way through, coming into our tables. So just take a moment to set up here, finding that long line, tuck the chin here, pull the belly in slightly, spread through the fingertips. Good. Now inhale, drop the belly, open the chest, look up. Exhale, round it back for your cat. Keep going with your cat and cow. And I invite you, if you'd like to move this in another direction, you can go ahead and go all the way back to a child's pose when you're in your cat. And when you inhale to open up, pulling through, drop the belly, open the chest. I'm just checking this out. If this feels okay for you, otherwise you can stay in that cat and cow. We're really finding that flexion in the spine here. So you're finding that nice C curve, and then you open up in the chest. Take 2 more rounds and whatever cat-cow felt good to you. Good. Now come back to that table. Maybe even shake the hips out a little bit here if that feels good. And then we're gonna go ahead and come all the way to the top of your mat, press into those hands, right foot's gonna reach out back. Keep those toes tucked underneath, rock a little side to side, or forward and backward here, getting that nice calf stretch. Good. Now let's bring that right foot over to the left side, gliding over. Gaze maybe will travel and look out past that foot. And keep that belly tucked in here, just so we can keep that openness in the spine so we're not dumping too much into that low back. One more big breath. Good. Inhale to pull it back through center. You can always come off the wrists here in between sides if you want to give the wrists a little break. Otherwise, we're going to come right into that left side. Curl the left toes underneath, forward and back. Keeping up with that breath. Good. Now let's glide that left foot over to the right side, looking out past that right foot. One more big breath. Good. Come back to your table. And let's just take a nice child's pose to reset. Knees can come wide, big toes together, and then push it back. Breathing back towards the hips here. You can even rock a little side to side if that feels good. Beautiful. Inhale to look forward, and then let's pull ourselves forward to come all the way in onto our bellies. So starting off with a baby cobra, hands line up right into the rib cage, spreading the fingertips. Inhale to rise, pull the elbows in, push the heart towards the short edge of the mat. Good. Release. One more of those. Inhale to lift. And then exhale to release. Now let's bring those elbows right underneath the shoulders here. We're setting up for our Sphinx pose. Hands are spread wide like starfish. Big toes come together, heels go wide, just to relax the legs and the glutes. This is for the back and for the heart space. So pulling the ribs towards the hands here. So imagine that you're pulling the spine right out of the hips. Just a little gentle movement here. Then tucking the chin slightly, keeping the spine nice and straight. Take some big breaths here. Feel the belly as it presses into the mat. Beautiful. Exhale, let's release. And we're going to push ourselves into our tables and then push it up to a down dog. Curling into the toes, pedal through the feet here. Pedaling it out. Good, and let's go ahead and lift that right leg up high. We're keeping the foot flexed here, and we're really keeping the hips in line. So it's okay if the foot doesn't go up too high. Beautiful. Now bend into that right knee. We're going to pull this through, setting the foot at the top of the mat. Go ahead and drop onto that back leg. We're in a little low lunge here. Keep the chest nice and open here. Maybe you come up onto the knee if that feels better. And then if you're feeling up for it, maybe we start to lift off. Pull the legs in together and lift the hands, coming into a low crescent. Relax the shoulders, relax the elbows, and open the chest. Good. One more long breath here. Open up. And then exhale, release. You can go ahead and walk it back. Take a little half splits here. Getting a nice stretch for the back of the leg. Dropping the head. Good. Inhale, let's walk it back up. We're going to curl into the back toes. And we're going to stay here with a little bit of a lifted lunge. Left hand plants, right hand reaches up. Nice twist here. Take a breath in the belly. And then exhale to release. Plant down into the hands, and we're gonna bring back foot to the top of the mat. Meeting in a forward fold. Drop the head here. Keep a nice bend in the knees. And let the hands just dangle. You can sway a little side to side if that feels good. Good. Let's start to roll it up vertebrae by vertebrae. And then inhale to lift the hands up and overhead. Big breath here. And then palms come together and through heart center. Soften the gaze, maybe check in here and just notice how you're feeling. Notice if there's any tension lingering in the body. Maybe you can feel that one side feels a little different than the other. Beautiful. Let's let that go. Inhale to reach up and overhead. And exhale, fold it forward. This time, maybe grabbing onto opposite elbows will feel nice. Sway a little side to side here. Good. Release those hands. Let's plant down into the hands, and we're going to step back with the right leg, coming into a low lunge on the opposite side. Just check it out to start. Check in with that front knee right over front ankle. Maybe that back knee is reaching a little further back. Maybe it's coming closer. Notice where you're getting a stretch here. You can sway a little side to side. If you want to come up onto that knee, check it out. Beautiful. Maybe use an inhale to lift the hands up and overhead. Dropping the elbows. Open the chest. One more big breath. And then exhale, let's release. Good. Walk it back for that half splits. Drop the head. Good. Inhale, let's walk it back up. We're going to come through that little twist here. So curl into the back toes, lifting off of that back knee. Right hand plants, left hand reaches up. Really push that back heel away. Big breath, look up. And then exhale, let that go. Good. Let's step it back to a down dog. Pedal it out. If you want to come through a little plank here, this is your chance. But otherwise, you can leave it. Stay in that down dog. Maybe even shrug the shoulders a little here, activating those deltoid muscles. Good. Let's look up towards the hands. Either step, walk, or hop to the top of the mat. Dropping the head here, shake the head around a little yes and no. And then inhale, let's come up halfway. Exhale to fold. And then inhale, let's rise up completely. Reaching the hands up and overhead. Good. Palms come together and through heart center. We're going to come into our little balancing of class. So we'll come into a tree pose. Unless there's something else you're working on, feel free to take that balance here. We'll start in our mountain pose. Right foot plants. Left foot finds a little kickstand. Maybe you're ready to bring that left foot up to the calf or to that upper thigh. Find a little focal point. Either keeping hands in a prayer pose, or you can come down to the hips. Maybe you start to rise up, finding some branches, just honoring where you are today. Take a big breath, feel where you're rooted, feel where that foot is pressing into the earth. Maybe even challenge yourself to lift off with the toes. Relax the shoulders. Let's take 2 more long breaths here. Good. Exhale. Let's let that go. Shake out the legs. And then coming into that left foot this time. Right foot finds a kickstand. And then maybe starting to grow up that leg. Just checking it out. You can always try something new on this side. Finding that focal point. One more long breath. And then exhale to let it go. Let's bring those feet wide here. Toes are pointing out. Inhale to lift the hands up and overhead. And then exhale, let's drop the left hand onto that left leg. And we're just going to start creeping down that left leg, finding a side body stretch. Gaze maybe travels up looking into the hand. Stick with it for a full round of breath. Beautiful. Inhale, let's rise. Both hands reach up. And then right hand comes to the leg. Creeping down, only go as far as feels okay. Maybe the gaze travels up. We're keeping this side of the body in one nice long line here, so pull the belly in. Activating your core. Inhale to stay. And then exhale to release, coming back up. Let's inhale to lift up, 5-pointed star. And then exhale, let's take a fold. Bring those heels out. Fold it forward. Maybe reaching for the floor here. You can have a bend in the knees. This could be a good spot for your pillow. Maybe the head starts to drop. Sway a little side to side if that feels okay. Release the head. Good. Maybe walking those hands over to the right side. You can start bending generously into that right knee. Left toes start to point up. Maybe if this doesn't feel good for your knee, keep it up high. Let's walk it over to the left side. Beautiful. Let's bring it back through center. Take one more breath in your forward fold. And then start to walk those hands to the short edge of your mat. Framing that front foot, drop to the back knee. And coming through your table. Take a cat-cow here if that feels good. Beautiful. Now we're going to come into a little cow legs pose. So from our tabletop, we're going to go ahead and bring this right knee into the chest, and then go ahead and cross that leg over. Both feet go wide, and then go ahead and walk the hands back, coming to sit back. Feel free to keep these knees really far and away, and try to get both sit bones on the ground. This is going to look really different for a lot of different people, so honor whatever feels okay in your body and make sure not to find any pain in the knees, because otherwise we can always come into little figure 4 here if that feels a little better. Listen to the body. Hands maybe are holding onto the feet, keeping that energy flowing, spine nice and straight. Breathe here. So much tension and stress is stored in the hips. This is extremely beneficial to just hold for a few rounds of breath. Softening. Notice where the mind goes. Notice if the thoughts become negative. Try to flip that. Thinking positive about your body. Notice where your mind goes when things get hard. Beautiful. Let's use an inhale to release, either coming through that tabletop or you can just uncross the legs, coming through table this way. Beautiful. Take a cat-cow. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this time, left knee pulls into the chest, and then crossing that leg over. And then go ahead and start walking it back, evening out the body, and sticking with the breath always. Make some adjustments. You could try something new on this side. Sometimes grabbing onto opposite elbows opens the chest, and that feels kind of nice. Keep that energy flowing through the feet. We'll be here for a couple more rounds of breath. Stick with it. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and uncross the legs. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together here, knees wide, coming into a little butterfly. Maybe you start to bounce the legs a little if that feels good, fanning that inner flame. Otherwise, you could fold it forward if that feels better. Only another little bit of class. Stay with your breath, stay in the moment. Good. Let's start to roll it up, and then we're going to come on to our backs. Pulling the right knee into the chest when you get here. Left leg goes long. And take some breaths here by pulling that knee into the chest actively. Maybe even starting to rock a little side to side if that feels okay. Massaging that hip flexor. Beautiful. Now let's start to cross it over. Right knee goes over to the left side. Maybe that left hand grabs onto the right knee. And then open up with that right arm. Bring that active breath here. Each exhale, maybe you're twisting a little bit deeper, sinking that right shoulder blade towards the mat. Good. Inhale. Let's bring that knee back up. And then we're going to switch over. Left knee comes into the chest, right leg long. Breathe here with that knee pulling into the chest. Then maybe adding that movement in if that feels good. Massaging that left hip crease. Stay with that breath. Releasing. Let's come over to the right side, twisting it out. It's always a good spot too if you need something to place that right or that left knee on top of. This is a good spot to put a pillow, a block. So give that leg a little somewhere to release to. And bring that active breath here. Don't allow the body just to rest or fall into the pose. Really breathe into it. Get the full benefit out of the twist. Massaging those inner organs. Good. Inhale. Let's release. And then we're coming into our Shavasana, our corpse pose. Whatever that resting pose looks like to you, that can be with knees bent, knees knocking in together, or maybe letting legs go out long, palms open. Allow the body to fully melt into the mat. Get any wiggles out of the way. Releasing all of that tension. And then finding stillness. Allowing the hips to grow heavy. Belly is relaxed. Chest is open. Soften the jaw, the forehead. Notice where your body carries tension, where you start to clench up, and where you notice you have to release whenever you're not realizing. Shoulders, maybe. And then allow the mind to drift away, focusing in on the breath. We'll replenish here for a few moments, allowing the body to fully accept what we just did. And I will call you back in a few moments. And if you're ready to go on with your day, and start to bring that movement, that presence back to the body by taking a big breath. Maybe starting to wiggle fingers and toes. And take a full body stretch, point the toes, spread the fingers, and then pull the knees into the chest. Give yourself one final hug of class. Maybe lifting the head, coming into a little ball. Can roll into a fetal position. Savor this last little position of class. The original yoga pose from when we were merely babies. In the ultimate sanctuary. And then let's start to press into one hand, lifting ourselves up to seal our class today. Maybe keeping the eyes soft. And let's lift the hands up and overhead, palms come together. Passing over the third eye for positive thoughts. Passing past the lips for positive words. And resting at the heart space. Breathing lots of love in. Lots of love out. And thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and everyone else who's practicing, and most importantly, yourselves. The light within me honors, celebrates, and loves the light within you. Namaste.